Hello everyone, and this is Kei, and I am a Japanese full-time trader based here in Dubai. Today, I'm super excited to share an interview with Robert, an amazing student who graduated from the January group of GTS, Global Trading School. Robert is originally from the US and he is a retired oncologist. Although he has been involved in trading for a long time, he used to struggle with a severe psychological block. The fear of big losses and FOMO left him completely paralyzed, making him unable to even pull the trigger and enter his Forex trades. However, after joining the GTS to learn solid market structure and the risk management, and more so importantly, psychology management, everything changed. Today, he is confidently placing live trades every week. In this interview, we dive into some absolutely fantastic topic. Number one, overcoming paralysis. How he finally conquered the fear and the mental blocks that kept him from trading. And number two, the power of mentorship. The dramatic shift in his trading that came from being accountable to a teacher and sticking to a daily practice routine. And number three, innovative learning with AI. His brilliant and unique approach to explaining trading concepts to AI to test and deepen his own understanding. If you are currently feeling stuck in your own trading journey or struggling to break through your mental barriers, Robert's real-life experience will undoubtedly be a massive inspiration to you. So please enjoy the video. Hello, Robert.
Hey, hi, Kay. How are you?
Hi, Robert. How are you? Very good.
Yeah,
good to see
I'm
you.
well.
Great. You look great with the jacket.
Thank you. Yes, looking businesslike.
Please first, can you introduce yourself briefly, please?
Yes, my name is Robert. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I have a home in Mexico, and we spend most of our time here in Mexico. We like the climate and the food, and the people are wonderful. And my background is in medicine. I was an oncologist for many years, and now that I'm retired, I have time for other interests. And so I've been involved in stock and stock option trading for 3 or 4 years now. And then somehow I became interested in Forex trading, and just as an intellectual pursuit and a hobby. And eventually that pathway led me to Ichimoku and to you, who's probably the greatest teacher of the Ichimoku system that I could find.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I remember that in the email you mentioned that you had some psychology challenges before, especially placing the orders, and you used to feel by FOMO and fear of big losses. But now you're confidently placing the live trades through the class, and even after the class, you keep posting your trades. And actually, I wanted to share one of the trades you did, pound AUD, you took yesterday. And maybe we can discuss on your psychology behind. But before that, how did the structure and psychology training in the GTS program help you finally pull the trigger in trading?
Well, that's a good question. I had been following you and your YouTube videos and the KTS site, and I had read all the materials and watched many of the videos, but for some reason I was psychologically blocked about placing trades. And some of that was the mechanics of trading Forex, the actual mechanics of placing the trade and moving the stops and on the app or the computer. So long ago, I learned that you get, or at least I get, a lot of learning by getting into some structured training. When I was young, I didn't know how to swim, so I got swimming lessons and became a good swimmer. I didn't know how to ski, but I got ski lessons, and rapidly my ability increased. So that's part of the reason I signed up for the GTS. And it's good that you have a background in psychology. And one of the greatest weaknesses I think people have in trading is psychological. The market is the market, and technical analysis seemingly would remove some of the psychology, but not really. We're all human, and
Yeah.
so your emotions can cause you to be overeager or overly hesitant. And so I was hesitant to place trades, thinking there's risk here and I can easily make money trading options. But with all that in mind, I decided this is time to sign up for the GTS class and be responsible to a teacher, learn from the teacher, and show up every week for the lessons. And that seemed to remove the block, and I began placing trades and realized that the things I had been studying the last 2 years really worked, and helped put it together and remove this emotional block. So,
Sure. Yeah, that's a great step, actually. Yeah, everybody has a mental block. When it comes to trading, you put the money in the table and you have to trade, you have to do risk management calculations and stop loss. So it's jumping into the ocean. But if you don't know how to swim, like you mentioned, you will be drowned and you cannot survive. Yeah, based on the structure I taught in GTS, hopefully helped you to at least be safer, feel safer to trade execution, so that you don't really feel panicked or you don't really feel FOMO, less emotion while trading.
yes,
So yeah,
that's
and
true.
you had 3 months to train, 3 months to practice. Hopefully during the 3 months, your confidence level became a bit higher in terms of executing the trades.
Definitely, yes.
Great, great. May I show one of your trades you took in yesterday, pound AUD?
Yes.
Okay, so let me share screen in Discord because it looks more realistic as you post your screenshots in here. Yeah, pound AUD, 2 positions in profit and 1 position stopped, the other still alive. So this is the screenshot you posted. But this is, first of all, really important that you take screenshot and post it. This is also one of the things that I encourage to everyone to do, whoever watching this video or the conversation between me and Robert, so that the trade is now happening, but you may forget tomorrow, or you may forget this evening what you did. So to record, to see, to look back, to be able to look back your trades, your footage on exactly what you did, taking screenshot and save it, really important. Here is the screenshot that you did, and you saw it here, and the market went down towards your direction. And if you remember when you took the screenshot, can you like explain how you felt when you are holding the trade like this way?
I felt good, first of all, because it was heading in my direction. I've discovered with this process that when we follow KTS, we screen and screen, and eventually, after maybe a day or 2 or 3, a favorable setup appears, and then you place your trade, and then it invalidates rapidly. But it's like surfing, you wait and wait. A few waves come by, but finally the big one comes, and then you place your trade. And then, so this was very satisfying that it was moving in the major direction, in my direction, favorably. And I was able to move my stops to break even, and that's very satisfying. And then as per your teaching, I just closed the laptop and went off and did other things for a while, and removes the temptation to watch every tick and make feelings driven choices. Because I was safe. I felt safe. I had set my stops. And then eventually the market continued in my direction, and I could move into some degree of profit. I'm not hoping to win the lottery. I'm just hoping to make profits consistently and small losses. So that the trade progressed. I was even able to hold the position overnight. I had enough profit locked in that I could go to sleep and not worry about it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I do in trading, and that's exactly how I want you to trade, psychologically speaking too. So this is the screenshot. When you close your trade, you took almost 50 pips of profit, but peacefully you took 50 pips of profit, and that's the most important part. You can be looking at the charts every minute, every 5-10 minutes or hour, but especially after setting break even, you let it go and surrender to the market and see how it goes and what brings you. And I'm glad that you are able to experience the feeling live trade after finishing the GTS. And hopefully your psychology is more calm and you have less FOMO and you have less fear of executing the trades now.
This is true. That's exactly correct. So I realized that when I enter a trade, that there's nothing sudden that's going to happen. And so I can carefully execute the trade, and then I can move to place the stop loss. The broker I use has that process separated into 2 steps. So you place the trade first. In that moment, you have no stops, which I thought was nerve-wracking, but you have time, 30 seconds. You can have your stops placed and be done with it.
Sure.
Then the stops I realized, are my friends. If the market suddenly did something based on news, the worst that can happen is to lose 25 pips, as opposed to trading without stops and suddenly in 10 minutes you're down 200 pips or something crazy.
Yeah.
So the stops are your friend, and then if your thesis is correct, then the market will maybe make an N wave or maybe just make an I wave and go in your direction. And then your losses, my risk of losses diminishes until the break even. And then, so it's fun. I enjoy it.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that it's fun to do. So
Yes.
yeah, me too. This is like experimenting. Every time you check the market, you look for opportunities, and once you find it, then you simply enter the market based on rules and see how it goes. But yeah, simply if as long as you keep your risk management right, your stop loss management right, then you should be able to make profits in the long run, because after all, you are always entering in the trending markets. So if the market
That's right.
betrays, there's something wrong. So just exit quickly based on invalidations. But if the market goes your way, then usually it becomes longer and faster. So you simply follow, you simply trial by simple stop loss strategy, and you eventually take profit like yesterday. So yeah, I'm so glad that you are able to experience, and I wish you can trade like this more in the month of April until we meet up again in the month of May 101.
Sure. Yes.
All
Looking
right.
forward to it.
Sure, sure. Actually, that leads to my second question about. So, I remember you mentioned that being accountable to a teacher was the major goal for you. And how did our 101 meetings and your daily practice routine in the class give you the consistency that you are missing?
That's another aspect of psychology, I think. I realized years ago that I was trying to exercise more and get into better shape, mostly for skiing, which was my passion. And then I hired a trainer, and I didn't really learn anything new, but I showed up in the gym 3 or 4 mornings a week because he was there waiting for me. And I felt I needed to be accountable, even if I was tired and mentally not interested in the gym. I went, and afterwards I felt great, and I improved, got much stronger. And so that process applied with GTS. I was meeting with you weekly, and you were providing information for each lesson. And there was the structure, and then there was meeting with the teacher. And so for a person who was immobilized, that helped me get started. And for a person who's been a bit of a procrastinator, once I get started, then I find out this is much easier, and I don't know why I was resisting, and I'm glad I started. So that just the structure of having a teacher and having a lesson plan and reporting in once a week and discussing matters was very helpful for me.
That's great. I actually track your record, and every week we meet up. So you have to be there. And whatever you do in a week, you are always there on the Saturdays meetings, and you back in the track, and you learn something new strategy or new perspectives about the trading in the markets and the strategy, and you do assignments next week. Yeah, hopefully you are able to have the routine of this, taking the screenshots and saving it or posting it in Discord. And I think it also really helps to be disciplined yourself too. Without myself meeting every week anymore, you can also keep this routine as a discipline. And actually, this is important too, to be able to really see what you have done in the past for the past 3 months, so that you can recall and you can always check the archive, lesson, classes, and you can even look back your own trades before. So now you mastered my KTS, you learned my KTS, and you are going to maybe experiment with it. Then let's say 3 years, 5 years later, you check back the Discord chat or Discord screenshots, and yeah, you will see like how far you have been achieving so far.
Yes. I look back once a week. I place 1 or 2, but never more than 3 trades in a week. I have a system on my MacBook of folders. So each trade goes into a different folder for that week, and then for that month, and then for that year. So I can find them years from now. But every week I look back on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and review what I did and what I was thinking, how I was feeling. Did I move my stops too soon? Was I overeager to place the trade, or was it more mechanical and rules-based? So I review things on the weekend and prepare for the coming week.
Yeah, that's really important. This is just based on my feeling experience, but whoever looks back the trading every weekend, I think it's only 5% of the traders in the world. Usually people don't look back because they're here to just make money, make profits. That's all. If it fails, if you lose 3 times, then move on to the next strategy, right? But yeah, if you do that, then there is no progress. There's no consistency in there. There's no learning. There's no wisdom. That's what I think.
It's true.
Yeah, once you get this structure, then you sit on it and just keep posting screenshots and look back weekends or even month ends to see what you could do better or what's the area that you can improve more. So
I agree.
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, so yeah, you have been experimenting, testing a lot, I heard also. And I love that you test your knowledge and explaining the trading concepts to AI. That's interesting. And I also started to explore some strategies or Ichimoku or market structures by AI also these days. But what is the biggest light bulb moment you had? And what advice would you give to viewers who currently feel stuck in trading?
That's a good question. What do I derive from AI? I've only been using it in my trading journey for I think I started 3 weeks ago, and I wasn't sure what I would get from it. I have two AIs. One I pay for, which is ChatGPT. I pay $20 a month, so it's a strong AI, but it's not the expensive professional level. And then I've been using Claude, and I've been comparing the two because I don't trust them. I'm afraid that they'll give me some hallucinations. So I found that the ChatGPT, which I pay for, learns much quicker than Claude, which I don't pay for. So there may be a lesson there. But
Yeah.
when I was in college, I had friends who came to me and they wanted to study together or get tutoring. And at that time, I realized that explaining something to another person, in other words, picking up the knowledge, processing it, and then articulating it to another person, really rapidly increased my learning and understanding. I think it was more beneficial for me than my classmates, and they seem to be doing fine too, but you learn a lot by teaching. So I was curious if the AI, how much it knew, what was it trained on, how well could it research. So I gave it very little information at first, just KTS, and nudged it by saying something about Forex, and it did a background search and gave me some information, and it didn't have the details that I did, so then I started explaining the process after I was reassured that this thing could learn, and I explained what I had learned in GTS and from my readings and videos. The advantage of that was that the AI got it very rapidly. It just understood. It wasn't lost in some minutia. And so then it was able to ask questions, and the dialogue back and forth I thought was very helpful. It made me realize that I have learned a lot and I do understand this. Now I'm more confident. And so I started that towards the end or maybe after the conclusion of GTS classes. And it just helped me crystallize the knowledge that I had picked up in the last 3 months.
So would you recommend it to the viewers to use AI to maybe to communicate or to chat to maybe crystallize your knowledge?
I think so. You realize where you're a little shaky or a little weak in some area because you can't explain it to the AI. It reflects back to you and you think, that's not right. And then, so it helps you to study, or in other ways, if you can explain something to the AI and it gets it, comprehends it, then you realize, yeah, I understand this better than I thought, and then can move on to the next level. I think it's good for everyone that these models are available and you can use them to learn trading, to learn other things.
Yeah, definitely. AI can give you different perspectives and different opinions than what you thought. So yeah, definitely it's inspirational. I also use AI, and sometimes I take screenshot of the markets and just copy paste it in the AI and just to hear some opinions about that. It's not
Yes.
that I strictly follow AI's rules and AI advice, but just as opinion, one of the opinions, you listen, you hear it, and you take it and mix it in yourself between what you have learned and what you heard from an AI and make it on your own. And I think that's a great idea to really explore through AI.
I think we're thinking along the same lines about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. But sometimes an AI contradicts. And like I mentioned, there's a hallucination. If a chat becomes longer, then maybe AI will be a bit off in terms of the answers or in terms of the
Yes.
feedbacks. Yeah, sometimes like it contradicts some of the opinions or advices. So if anything confuses you, then you have me. So you can always ask me some questions.
Sure. Good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Robert, thank you so much for this time interview. That was really inspirational and learning a lot. That was really nice. Yeah, thanks for your time. And I really appreciate it. And I hope you can be a non-losing trader in the long term. And looking forward to seeing you again in the month of May for your results.
Very good. Yes. Looking
All
forward to
right.
it.
Sure.
Thank you very
Thanks so
much.
much. You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thank you. See you, Robert.
See you too, Kay. Bye-bye.
Okay.